recording just so that I have something here. Okay, so if you're doing a mediated speech as a group, as you're going to do, when I'm on the caption, okay, when there's a little window that opens up, if I go right to here, I'm at the border. But if I go like this, I'm out of the picture. And if I go here, then I'm all right. But if I go here, I'm almost out. And then by here, I'm out of the picture. So it isn't that it isn't recording normally the voice and the picture, but I have to be aware that as I'm recording myself, I may not be in where I need to be. Okay? So that's one thing. I'll have a short video, and I'll probably play and stop it, on this whole notion of mediated speeches. So let me ask this question. Is, to your mind, as far as you know, is mediated speeches, or are mediated speeches different than the speeches that you are now creating to inform and later on to persuade? Are they different? I see some nods, which I assume means yes, right? Are they different? Go ahead. What do you think? No comments? This is my no comment group. They are not really that different. What's different about mediated speeches is that you're doing it with other people, and everyone is doing a little piece of it. So one of you is going to do maybe part of the introduction. Maybe another person is going to do another part of the introduction. So, and remember that you only have but so much time. Mediated speech has a little bit more time, so you'll be able to have more than one person speak, if you will. And I do want everyone to speak in the mediated speech. I think that's been something that people have asked about. So some people say, well, I'm good at doing the outline, and I did the outline. That's fine. You worked on the outline. I hope that not just one person will do the outline, but the whole group, okay, will do the outline. And of course, you might or might not get together for some parts of the outline. I think the outline is a good roadmap for what your speech will be, okay? What the mediated speech will be all about. So, but informative speeches and persuasive speeches, which are the boilerplate speeches, are very similar processes. People go through the similar processes in creating mediated speeches. Okay? So, so let me ask you this. What did I say that mediated speeches are akin to? I mentioned it a couple of times in class. I'll see if you are paying attention. What is it that you're familiar with that that mediated speeches might be like? It requires more than one person, a bunch of people. You're familiar with this? No? The news! Do you remember that? Of course now you do. I had to prime you and prep you in some way. So what's unique about the news, I guess? Let's say that mediated speeches is akin to newscasts that you might watch, okay? Not bad news, as the news often is about 80-90% bad versus good stuff. Sometimes they have Miss McGillicuddy had this really beautiful baby. Look at that today. Oh, and congratulations to Jack Smith, who won an award. You know, I mean, they don't do a lot of that, but they do. You know, this is happening in the world, and this is a problem, and there was this issue, and so they do a lot of that. But in mediated speeches, you don't do that, because you're not going to really talk about the news or anything like that, I assume. Okay? But why is it similar? I guess is the question. That's right. The audience isn't specifically in the geography that you're in, right? Like I'm recording this just sort of for fun, and so that we might have something to reference later, and we can see if this works. And I've already been speaking 5 minutes. All right, so 5 minutes. So you are not in the physical realm that other people are, and so you're not in the newscast room, right? Are you, when you're listening to what they are? And you only see how many people? Just a couple of people. You might see the people that, the handsome guy, or the good-looking young lady, or talking about the weather and talking about the economy. You only see a handful of people. You usually don't see more than 2 or 3 people. Okay? So in mediated speeches, you don't see a lot of people, but you do see some. But the group that is speaking is probably in different places. Like in the news, you could be doing the news from, someone could be in Boston, someone could be in New York, someone could be in LA, someone could be in somewhere in sub-Saharan Africa, okay? So you could be almost anywhere, and they kind of merge the two, okay? They link the two. Now, in your mediated speech, what you're going to do is not quite the same, so it's similar, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to record the pieces that you agree to do in the group, and you're going to splice them together. Okay, someone's going to splice them together. I'm not going to tell you who should do that. Just negotiate how that would be done, so that someone centrally gets it, particularly toward the end, and then create a link in some way or fashion. Okay? And then I get the one link from someone. Doesn't have to be the person who put it together. It could be anybody. As long as I get one clean copy. Oh, and speaking of clean copies, what it means is that you should review it, that the video quality is good, that people are understood, and that you speak clearly. And the good thing about mediated speech is having said all that is what? What comes to mind when I say that you can listen to it and you can make sure you spoke correctly? What comes to mind? You can re-record it. You can re-record it how many times?
Only twice.
You can record it as many times as you want, within the time constraints of a class like this, obviously. And I think I told you that public speakers, and particularly people that are in the high profile section of the world, I think King used to record his stuff and practice his speeches well over 100 times. So I wasn't there, but that's what I understand, that he was able to do that. Okay? Now, he didn't have the per se technology like this, but he had those little tape things that you would record your voice. That's how books came out, and that's how music was gotten. And by the way, since I am cleaning my house, I had to get rid of lots of those things. I kept some of them, stuff that was recorded that I knew wouldn't be anywhere else. But now you have CDs, right? And you can record onto CDs, okay? And you can record onto, assumably, these types of softwares that we're using here. And all of you have this, right? You see that? See, right there? And you can actually talk into it and record yourself. And you can send it to people, right? And there's a bunch of apps about recording what you say, some with pictures and some without. Now, the problem with some of that is if you were to use a phone, and we're not going to use a phone unless we were really pushed, is that there's only so much dynamic domain in here and so much space to be able to do that. Okay? So you would quickly run out of space. And I'm running out of space in my phone because of all the apps that I have and all the little recordings and thoughts that I have. But you wouldn't have that problem with some of the recording information that we have, okay, the apps that we have, okay? So mediated speech requires the creation of ideas, and so all of you have been assigned a group. Some of you know each other, which is a good thing. That releases you from having to discover who those people are. Most of you know one or another of each other, and so that's a good thing. The way mediated speeches are supposed to be is that you're not supposed to be in the same room. Otherwise, that defeats the purpose, right? Then it's a group project, right? The idea is that you might be in your respective campuses or bedrooms or in the libraries, wherever you're at, and you record your part independent of anyone else. So you can do it anytime, okay? And so that's really the theory behind it, that then it gets spliced together. Of course, I've seen some mediated speeches where there's been some clothes hanging in the background, and you know, people don't pick up the food they ate, and it looks kind of bad. And dogs run through, and cats go like this to the computer, and someone in another room says, "I want you to pick up that stuff now." You know, so you hear stuff like that, and some people may not be dressed appropriately, and they run through the recording. Thus, this is good that you can record more than once, right? Now, of course, you record a bunch of times, so you keep the best one possible. But creating the idea is important. So that, you know, you'll have an opportunity to do that today. So I'm going to ask you a little later to give your groups names and to begin planning on how you might do this mediated. Now, I know that you're working on the informational speech. That's fine. The informational speech and the mediated speech are mutually exclusive. They don't belong together because one is yours, totally yours, and the other one is a group. All right? So the creation of the ideas is important. Okay? The delivery of it is important. Okay? So it's clear what you're talking about. And of course, you can use anything you use in any type of speech. You can define words, right? You can reference videos. You can use video to a small amount of time. You can refer to statistics. You can show your PowerPoint. You can share the PowerPoint so that it gets recorded. You can show, today I'm going to show you this thing that I created. You know, I wish I had created this. This phone. You know, you can show that on the video. And of course, I would want to be here. So that would be part of what you would be doing, okay? And give yourself some interesting names, okay? You know, add that to your group as we put you in the mediated groups a little later, okay? So what is the mediated function that you most are familiar with as a student? Something that's akin to mediated, that uses technology. Starts with Z. Zoom, that's right. Zoom, zoom, zoom. That used to be a program when I was growing up. I'm dating myself, so to speak. Zoom is a platform that people still use, and I still use it, and we use it for a lot of meetings. So it's like mediated speeches because you can actually do them and you don't have to record them. Now, of course, if you just want to do a meeting that doesn't record, you have to tell it to not record. Okay? And what happens in Zoom meetings? Sometimes people are in a Zoom meeting and they're like, what's that? That's right, muted, right? So, and then people say, you're muted, unmute yourself. You know, that's always kind of fun. People kind of find that funny, and that happens a lot. Or you're not being recorded, or they're looking at the avatar. And of course, when you put an avatar, no one sees you. So I could be somewhere else going. And of course, that's not the perfect world. That's not what you want. But I'm not the only one who's fallen asleep on any of those types of things that you might do. Everyone, but it shouldn't happen often, especially in important things. All right, so Zoom is like that. Zoom also requires an app and download and all that stuff. So that's the other thing. And Zoom is saved for a certain period of time. I think it's 6 months. Okay. When we record here, we keep those for a longer period than 6 months. Okay. And do you think you could save your recordings? Well, what can you do to save them?
You can either save them locally on your computer.
You can save them locally, exactly. And you can keep them forever as long as your computer doesn't get a virus and all that stuff. And you send it to yourself, okay? So that's one thing that you can do. I think you can also save them on YouTube. So some people save things that they speak of on YouTube, and there's some other softwares. And PowerPoint also has a feature that records. So you can have a PowerPoint and you can enable that feature on PowerPoint, and you can record comments that you're saying. And so as you can see on this slide, the economy of the country is doing well. Look at that pie graph that I've provided for you. And you can say that, right? So you can, and then you can save it, and you can share that with other people. That's in a way mediated because more than one person can be speaking, and most of the time one person is, but 2 or 3 people can be speaking about that. Okay, and as you know, most of the people that do mediated speeches, like high-level government officials who need to have a record of what was said, and the public wants the record also of what was said, they save it, right? And it's saved for a long time. Okay, so we have that. So that's the plus of it. The minus of mediated speeches are what? What would you think some of those might be? What are some of the minuses? Give me some minuses. Not that you don't want to do it, but but what might be some minuses to mediated speeches being recorded and so on? Yes?
The audience can't really interact.
That's right, the audience. And I'm just going to put no interaction there, okay? So they're not able to comment, right? Or they might be able to chat. But chat, though it's nice, is not as nice as you being able to say, "Oh, I have a concern. I have a question. Can you address, why this is happening?" and whatever it is. All right. So yeah. Okay. What else is? I saw another hand.
There could be like technology issues and the recording.
Oh, thank you. And that, as you can know, is the big problem. Technology kaput. Okay? Okay? And there's no doubt that technology isn't created equal in all parts of the country, as I'm sure you realize that not everyone is able to access the internet or the high-speed highway internet. People with lesser means have lesser access, have to go out of their way to be able to access that. That is a serious problem. I myself am of the mindset that the internet should be floating and available throughout major areas so that people can easily access it by just going to their browser and asking for the internet, so that you don't have to pay for it. You know, and I'll tell you this, when I was growing up and the internet was just coming on, I studied comp sci when I first started, and they said it was going to be free. Is it free? No, it's not free. Also television, when I was growing up, there were like 3 or 4 stations, and this station said, go back to that station if you change channels. I'm just kidding. That really didn't happen. But there were only a few channels, and it was available to everyone who had rabbit ears, they called them. Okay? Now, is video inexpensive? Television? No, it is not. It's kind of expensive. And actually, you can't get some of the channels that were free anymore. You have to have some subscription. So that is a problem with technology not being duly and available to everyone. That's one thing I wanted to say about that. Is it good? Is it bad that people have it or don't have it? Well, that's of course depending on where you sit, right? So that's part of it. Okay, so technology and having to upgrade and having high-speed internet and having up-to-date computers. I just changed my computer, okay, because I got a bug in the other one, and so I'm just trying to figure out Apple. How many of you have Apple computers here? Yeah, lots of you. How many of you have something else that's not? What do you guys have?
I have a Samsung laptop.
A Samsung. Okay. What do you have? Something, right?
Asus laptop, just
Okay.
those.
Okay. I used to have one of those. Okay. I had an HP, and then I had some other, and I had one of those. I have like 3 laptops sitting on the top of one of my, in my room that's full of all sorts of stuff. And I was looking at them and I just threw out. I don't want to show you the picture, but I just threw out an IBM computer that is probably about that big, and it had a little port over it. And I was thinking, I don't know if I should throw it out. This could be a museum piece. So I threw it out. It's in the trash. Anyone who wants it, let me know. I'll dig it out. They haven't taken it.
Maybe you should put as a display.
We should what?
Put as a display.
Put as a display. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a good idea. I might just dig it out of. I threw it and I covered it so that if it rained, it wouldn't get messed up. But I mean, technology is. When I started doing computer science, which is quite different from public speaking and from psychodynamic theory and all that, and the theory of aging and so on, the things that I'm more involved in, a computer that would do real minuscule stuff would be as big as this room here. You'd need a computer that big. Now, on this thing here, I could virtually send a rocket to outer space. Okay? Not that I would want to, because it's kind of expensive to do, and that kind of stuff. But technology has really moved forward. Okay, so So the audience not being there, a sense of immediacy is the term that we use for that. Someone records, and I'm listening to it 6 months later. I can't respond. I used to teach online courses that involve some of this technology, and I remember going into what used to, I don't know if it's still around, I think it's still around, Phoenix University, and I went back into the class to see it, and there was one lonely student saying, "Is there anyone there?" I thought that was kind of funny. Months later, I said, "Well, I hope you turned in that that paper a lot earlier than now, because there was no one there. There was no way. I just happened to check on it, but you could still see the stuff." My son just got a new cell phone. Speaking of technology, he deletes lots of stuff, so he got a new phone. They upgraded his phone, and on his phone were all the videos and emails that he had deleted. So what does that mean? It means that those things never, never, never go away. So if you put something, that you hope won't be discovered, unless someone really doesn't want to discover it, it's discoverable. It doesn't go away. They don't delete stuff. So his girlfriend was saying, "See all those emails that you took pictures with sticking your tongue out and doing stupid stuff. They're there." And so so they don't all go away. Okay. So I wanted to say that to you, that a lot of these things will be saved in some way or fashion somewhere in the cloud or hyperspace. All right, so audience and not being there to be able to respond, and for the presenter, like if this is a mediated speech right now, I wouldn't be able to see any of you. Most likely not. And even if I did, because I can on some occasions have technology where I can see people, but it doesn't pan well, and I don't see well the people, okay? So I can't tell if you're yawning, as someone might be yawning, and someone might be going, or someone might be going, "What the heck is he talking about?" So I can't see that. So in mediated speeches or mediated communications, even if they're immediate and they're live, you can't see as well as you would like. As here, I could also leave here and say, "So I'm learning a lot, Yeah, and I understand exactly what you said about those computers." I can do that. See, I can't really do that. Now, the problem is that I was gone. I'm back now, okay? So I can't do that, okay? And people like that, right? And I could call you by your name, okay? And I can see you, and you can see me. And you can go, "There, you have a question," okay? So that's a thing with the audience, okay? And with the technology, absolutely, this is perhaps one of the most difficult things when you are going somewhere, that you're doing a conference that might be mediated, if you will. People are in different parts of the country. They might actually be groups as bigger than this in certain parts of the country that you're going to speak to. Their technology may not be working. And if it isn't, what happens? Well, they'll have to live with the recording if you do record. And some people don't want their presentations recorded, so they don't. So you get to view nothing. Maybe you'll get their handouts, so sometimes they give out handouts and all that. Like I remember when we used to do presentations, people would say, "Oh, are you going," one of the last questions would be, "Are you going to hand out the PowerPoint?" And I go, well, it's only 100 pages, PowerPoint stuff. We'll have to copy it for you. And people got a little wiser as time went on and said, we'll have to charge you for the copy. And as soon as you said that, people said, oh, I don't really need that much. And I discovered that I went to some offices and there were PowerPoints sitting around from some years prior. And guess what? They're just sitting there. Did anyone look at them? Maybe once, if that. You might have been referencing it. But most times that was really not good, effective use of resources and paper and ink and all that stuff. Okay? Now with the internet, we are able to get a lot of stuff. Okay. What else is a problem with mediated speeches? Can you think of anything else that you're concerned about? Go ahead.
If you're working with a group and it involves like online, it can be a problem because communication is slow.
Timing and coordinating. Right? Absolutely. So when are you available? Well, I'm available anywhere between 7:30 p.m. and 7:45 p.m. That's my break at work. So you can call me then. Right? I mean, So I'm being facetious, of course. But yeah, that is an issue. When is it that people will be available? Just like, let's meet at 1:30. To work on our presentation, right? So lots of people may not be able to make that 1:30 for whatever reason. Okay? Thank you for bringing that up. That's absolutely one of the things.
Can't track engagement.
That's right. And you remember that I used the example of the asking your friends to help you move the refrigerator, right? And you had 6 of them come, and 2 of them brought the refrigerator, and the other ones are like, okay, just keep it. Watch the wall. You're gonna scratch the wall. They are doing something, but they're not doing the same caliber of work, right? Absolutely. My son just moved from Lawrenceville to King of Prussia. He says, I have 5 friends that are going to help me. How many do you think showed? None of them showed up. So luckily, I couldn't go because he was doing it at a weird time, and I was with my daughter doing something very important that I could not go. So him and his girlfriend worked together in the movement of some stuff, and the mother-in-law showed up. So, and when I went to the apartment, it looks like a great apartment, like has all sorts of amenities. Free chocolate, free coffee. And I'm thinking, wow, and all this kind of stuff. I've never had it like this. When I was growing up and dinosaurs were roaming the planet, we didn't have free chocolate or anything like that. But then I looked at his apartment, all fixed up and picked up. I'm like, that is a product of the mother-in-law. Move that over there. Get that over there. No, move that over there. It's just not quite like that, but the reason is that you need lots of people to do things. And with mediated speeches, if you want it to be a really good thing, you have to kind of do a lot of do-overs, and you have to refine. So, did I say the or did I say the? Well, if you're doing Shakespeare, well, it's all right to use the, but most people don't use that kind of language. But yeah, tracking engagement. I don't know who did what. Now, with these mediated speech, the plus to you is that if I see in the recording that everyone is participating reasonably equal, I don't have any reason to say, I'm going to ding Jack here. Because ding, he doesn't show up much in this video, you know? So, and then I'll say that, and then they'll say, well, I worked on the outline. You know, they'll come up with stuff. But, you know, so generally in mediated speeches, the group gets one grade, okay? Everyone gets the same grade, generally speaking. The other thing that I'll say about mediated speeches is that, you know, not only do you get the same grade, but you could give, you'll be able to, in this class at least, you'll be able to give some feedback to those who are in your group. There is going to be a form that says, you know, do you have any concerns about the participation of people, anything like that? And it's done so that no one else knows that you gave certain feedback. And I'll look at it. I mean, most of the time I just kind of look at it and think about it. And if someone says, so-and-so didn't participate in the presentation much, but showed up on the last day to talk about what they didn't do, and that kind of. So I would probably lower that person's individual grade, okay? But generally, most of the people, I want to encourage you to try to be equitable in the way you deal with the workings of your groups. All right. Any other problems that you see with mediated speech? Anybody else have anything else that they're concerned about with mediated speeches?
When is our speech going to be?
Oh, that's a concern, right? That's going to be a lot later in November. Okay, so in November we'll deal with that. Now you already have who's in your group, and today you're going to tell me more or less what the general topic is going to be. I'm not going to dictate that you do or don't do this topic, but I want you to give me an idea of what that topic is going to be. Okay, because it's a group. So I think that the first thing to do is to agree on what are some of the power words, right, so to speak. You know, what is it that you're going to do? You got to know what that is, or else you can't move forward. Yes.
Does it have to be like an informative speech? Or
It doesn't. It could be, you could be informing people, and you could be persuading. But most mediated speeches have an element of informing and also persuading. Okay, so I think if you do a little bit of both, you're okay. Okay, and if you have a short, you know, if you use either PowerPoint or Prezi or whatever it's called, all these kind of other technologies. If you you have any presentation aids or anything like that, you know, show off the phone, whatever it is that you're going to show off in the presentation. You know, if your talk is about books, then and books, so you show off the book. This is the book that we're using in this class. See that? But that might be. But if you are comparing that to scrolls, like ancient scrolls that rolled out, you know, you'd want to show, this is a scroll, and I want you to see how they wrote. They used cuneiform, you know, whatever it is. Not many people had access to books, so and scrolls were for special moments. Most of the time, in the history of men and womankind, if you will, writing was a luxury that could not be afforded by most people and didn't occur a lot. Versus now, you can generally, well, we've really upped the ante on people getting books and technology, right? So, and getting an education, thus online education. So you can get those, okay? So I wanted to say that about mediated speeches. All right, so the developing of the idea is very important, and the delivery of it, and making sure you hone it in and you re-record it as many times as you think. I'm not saying that it has to be perfect, but I'm saying that it should be clear enough and understandable enough, and something that you could say to a prospective employer. Look, I was a part of this group project. I'm going to send you the link so you can see it. I am the person with the red hair, or whatever it is that you want to say to indicate that you participate. Now, that's a good thing. On the other hand, and there'll be a place to say, would you turn this in as a product of the quality of the work that you do? And you could say, no, I would not, because Jack and Susan did a lousy job, and when they see this document, they're going to think that, what a lousy thing was done, and I'm using that as something that I did a good job. And you might have done a good job. So, of course, you can cut and paste, right, that little piece if you want to. So you could do that. So but you wouldn't turn in the whole thing if you thought that that's how it plays out. Okay? All right. So what things could you do to make sure that the mediated speeches are good?
Coordinate with the other group members.
Okay. And coordinate using times that make sense, that you all agree to, right? Now, we don't sign anything here, but in some schools, people sign off that, yeah, I agree to meet at this time and to do this part of the project. So I'm not recommending that you do that, but I do recommend that your word be sort of like the law, if you will. If I say I'm going to be available every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m., then I should do everything I can to do that. And if I can't, I need to advise people with anticipation that I'm not going to be there, not at 7:30. Oh, I can't make it. Now, of course, if you had an accident, like I was coming here, trying to get here early today this morning, and I thought to myself, oh no, I might have to cancel the class. And there were like 3 or 4, maybe 5 cars in an accident coming here. So I went all over the known universe trying to get away from that situation. I was able to get here far earlier than I thought I could. But under those circumstances, I would understand that. So that means give yourself enough time to do it, okay? So that if one or another has a problem, you have a little cushion, okay? And that's, I think, a good skill set to have generally, okay? Okay, what else might you do?
Kind of coordinate like when each member's going to speak in the actual speech.
Exactly, like put together an outline, right? And indicate who's going to speak on the outline. You can do that. And everyone who's doing a part of it should know what their respective part is. So let's say that you do that, and a person decides to drop the class. What do you do? Do you convene everyone, talk about it? I would, and decide what that person was doing and what you can do. Now that doesn't happen often, but it can happen, right? It can happen. Okay, it can happen. Life is not always as predictable as you would want it to be. Okay. I thought I'd be at Harvard by now, so it hasn't happened. Sorry about that. Not likely to happen. Maybe Princeton? Nah, probably not. Probably not. But this is a good school. Actually, Rutgers, since I'm speaking of this, Rutgers was thought of as being an Ivy League school for a long time. And it was a high caliber university for the longest time. And I think that it rivals almost any of those schools as well. So I think Rutgers is doing pretty well with that. You know, prestige is whatever it is, right? You know, you say you went to Princeton versus you went to, you know, Middlesex College. Sorry about that, Middlesex. You know, there's a difference, right, in people's minds. Now, education is what it is. This class means to give you the tools that anyone from Princeton or Harvard, you can compete with them at a reasonably good footing, okay? And obviously, we're not going to talk about that kind of stuff because there are people that are a little bit more privileged than everyone, including myself, in this room, right? That's just the way it is. But I get given these cards in life, so I have to know which one to use and when to put it down and when to pick them up. That's what part of life is, and I think higher education and a class like this helps you with that. I think so. You know, I'm not deluding myself into thinking more of myself than I might, or all of us. Okay. What other concerns are there?
Sorry, there is nothing to repeat.
Okay, I won't repeat anything. I've already said it enough, right? I've been speaking for 47 minutes. So I should be being quiet soon, right? Soon. I'm going to move this over. Let me see. I don't know if I'm going to show the video, you know, that I had. I had a video. I might still show a little piece of it. Let me see if it's readily available to me. Let me see. I have the video here, but I think I just want to see what else we're gonna do. So I think I'm gonna leave it at that, unless someone has some questions. I'll probably send you a link of a video that you can watch that talks about some of this, re-emphasizes this. Remember that public speaking involves telling people what you told them, and what else?
Telling again.
That's right, telling them again. Telling them what you told them and telling them again. Not in the same words, not using the same words, okay? That's why we have language. And telling them in different words, because some people are visual, some hear, some want to feel what you're saying, that kind of stuff. So find ways to tell people that kind of stuff, all right? All right, so I'm going to stop this.